What's up, guys? So in today's video I'm just going to be basically talking about part of my life story, how I got into training, how it's affected me today, the positives and negatives of going through the kind of that obsession with training and working out, and how it's affected my life in positive ways and negatives. It's mainly positives, but I just want to help you guys out so you don't go down the path of just only wanting to train, not wanting to do anything else other than train like that, just complete obsession, and then neglecting everything else in your life, basically. So I just don't want that to happen to other people. I just want to share my experience, and you guys can take what you want from it and just see whether you learn anything or whether it helps you guys out in the future. It might save you from making the mistakes that I've made. But I do generally believe that most of the things I've done with my training and my life choices so far, after I've started my career, training, basically, I do believe that most of the stuff I've done has been for the net positive. It hasn't been a negative. But the first thing I want to show you guys is, like in the last video, I was saying how, not in the last video, the video before that, how this bike was broken, basically, my electric bike, which was really annoying because I couldn't go to the gym. But now it's actually fixed. My dad helped fix it. So you can see here, this is new for the battery, so I can charge it. And then in here, basically, some components have been replaced, so that the transference of electricity can just go straight through smoothly from the battery into the frame and then into the computer and the bike. So that, I'm really thankful for that. Just got it back today, so I can't wait to get back on it, basically. But it's been gone for about a month, slightly more than a month now, and I've just been basically riding around on this one. So that has been kind of cruelty. After coming off of riding this one, going onto this one, then going back onto this one. It's like, oh my god, it takes forever. I have to ride like 28 kilometers to get to the gym and come back. Like, it's just terrible. So I'm tired all the time, and I've lost like 2. Okay, so I'm just gonna start by explaining how I got into training in more detail, and basically going through the events that have led me to this point in time where I am now today. And I'm just going to be going over the positives of what this has done, and some of the negatives of the path that I chose, which I don't think there are many negatives, but at the same time I'm just going to be explaining how everything is played out, basically. So I don't regret doing what I've done, because it's of course it's the best choice, doing the training, investing time in myself, becoming my own character, being true to myself, having a passion, being dedicated, having a purpose in life, and just enjoying the journey, enjoying the progress and everything. But at the same time, there has been other aspects of my life that have been neglected, not just because of the training, but also because of the circumstances that I'm in, which is quite complex, the circumstances I'm in. So I'm just going to go over it, basically. So anyways, yeah, I'm going to start off by saying that I was born in Hastings in England, the UK, right? And I moved to Brighton with my mum because my parents split up. So I was living in Brighton City for a while, and then I moved back to live with my dad, right, when I was 13, turning 14. And the way I didn't really move back, because of the situation was complicated, I had to basically run away from my house, right? But when I was living with my mum, because of like complex circumstances, and it was just like crazy stuff going on. But now I feel like I'm more understanding, because even today, when I look back on it, I was just, a 13-year-old kid. So I'm a lot more grown up now, and I've matured like so much more. and my maturation has accelerated due to the fact that I have a purpose in my life and I'm making what I want to happen in my life happen, you know? So I'm not just floating about like other people, just going to parties all the time and then just not doing anything about themselves and just relying on how others treat them to feel good about themselves. But I'll get back to that in a bit. So anyways, so I'm in Hastings, right? I've just ran away from my mom. Well, yeah, people there. So I'm living with my dad. I'm still going to school in Brighton, so I have to get the train from Hastings to Brighton, which is like I don't know how many. I think it's like 10, 15 miles, right? So I have to get the train every morning to go to Brighton. And then eventually I moved school to live in Hastings, of course, like makes sense, at the start of the new year. So yeah, I moved school. This was back in the end of 2019 is when I moved school, right? So I moved school, I was living in Hastings, I was trying to just fit in with the other kids, and I felt like I had to just, I'm sure a lot of you guys feel like this too, I felt like I had to just pretend to be someone I'm not. I felt like I was, when I was with the other people there, like I met some like pretty cool people, I met some friends, you know, and whatnot. And I also had, you know, like a lot of fake friends or just people who I just hung out with, like everybody does, right? And I felt like I had to just change my character completely just to fit in. And, you know, it was working. Like, I was just a clone of the other popular kids, basically. I was just like a clone of them. Like, I would talk like them. I would be interested, you know, loosely interested in the stuff that they would be interested in. And it was working because I went from being this nobody kind of kid at school, right, who nobody really cared about, like this funny kind of kid who just has like some friends or whatnot, to just being like one of the more like known popular kids in the school, right? Just because I was copying the other popular kids and they seemed to like me. So it was working, but at the same time, I felt deeply like insecure about who I was, what I was doing, and I just didn't feel good about myself or anything, because I also felt like intimidated by other people because I was just skinny. Like, I'm this tall guy. I'm 6'2" basically. I'm 6'2", and I'm this tall guy and I'm super skinny, right? Because this was before I started training. I was only doing some martial arts for like a couple months and I stopped, and I was doing athletics as well, like sprinting for a couple months, and I stopped, right? And I was still this skinny kid, and I just felt like, fuck, the way these schools work in England is there's a lot of fights can happen, and especially when you're in like the wrong kind of group of friends, especially like the more popular people, you kind of have to just know how to like stick up for yourself. And like I did to a degree, but at the same time, because I was a popular kid, there was always like girls trying to talk to me, trying to come after me and whatnot. And there was always kids who just hated that, and because of that, they'll just try and like, they're so jealous, so they'll just try and like just mess around with me and whatnot. And it got to a point where I was just like, I don't know what I'm even doing with my life, because I feel like this fake person who comes home and is just completely different from how they are at school, right? And of course, when you're with your parents, you're different than when you're with your friends, right? But it just felt like I was a completely different person. Like even how I talked, even how I spoke, I felt like it wasn't me, right? So in the end, I had really bad, throughout this whole time, I've been having anxiety and depression. Not now, but the time period I'm talking about, right? So when I was 12, 13, 14, I was having really bad anxiety and depression. I was like having so many problems. I was having like nervous breakdowns and stuff for just little reasons. For not a lot of reasons. I was more ungrateful. I didn't have many manners or anything. I had no discipline whatsoever. I would just play video games. I'd sit down, play video games all the time on my Xbox One that I had, or on my PC that I had later on, that I still have now. And I would just play video games all the time, and that would really be it. So I didn't feel like I was a good person. I didn't feel happy with my life. I didn't feel like I was special. I didn't feel like I was right. I just didn't feel like my life was going anywhere. And I know when you're 14, you think, if you think like what you're going to be doing in the future, most of the time you wouldn't know. But I was honestly clueless about like how the world works, how I'm going to get a job and everything. And I was just thinking about the moment all the time, just about like this and this and that. And I know that's normal for a teenager, but even now, I'm only 4 years older than I was then. Like, not even that, slightly less than that, because I only turned 18 recently. And I think completely different. And I know so many people who are trapped in that cycle, and they're 18 and they're basically like a 14, 15-year-old. And they don't know what they're going to do with their life. And, you know, it's just like that. And I want you guys to know and just understand my story, because maybe it can help you guys out, right, in the future. I don't know, but I just want to share you the experience with it, right, the experience I've had at least. And so yeah, I was in Hastings and I was getting sick of this school, right? So I decided, well, why don't I join the Army Cadets? Not the Army Cadets, the Marine Cadets, right? So I was like, yeah, I'll just join that. And I joined that, and it was going all right for a while. I like met some friends, but then there was these two kids who were just I don't even know, those were like the worst people I've ever met, like that, my age at least, at that time. Like that was just, like there was some other stupid kids that I didn't like, but those kids were just like, they weren't just stupid, they were like full of themselves. They thought that they were better than like everybody else, to a point where it's just like insane, basically. So yeah, and because they were actually skinnier than me, even though I was super skinny, I was only 63, 64 kilograms, of the same height as I am now, which is like nothing. Right now I'm like 93 kilograms, which is like so much more. Right, it's like 30 kilograms more. And I just felt like trapped, because in the situation I was in, I didn't have any confidence, and I was just always just like, you know, like a piece of paper, like I could just blow away in the wind, you know, if you know what I mean. Like, I can't really, it's hard to explain it, because I just feel so differently from it now than I do back then. But I just felt really bad about myself and where I was heading, basically. So I was with these kids in this cadet, you know, Marine cadet thing. And then eventually we went on this trip to this base, this like Marine base, like an actual proper one, you know, where we're doing like they're showing us, the actual Marines were showing us how to do some stuff, right? I didn't see a future in the army necessarily. Maybe it could happen, but maybe it couldn't. I wasn't like super interested in it, but I just liked, you know, the discipline of it, and, you know, meeting people who are like physical like me, because I always had that physical kind of mentality. I always liked to play around, play fights and stuff like that since I was young. So I always felt like PE and sports was a big part of me, and a lot of kids know me for that. They were like, "Oh, that's William. That's like the really fast kid," because I was like pretty fast at one time when I was practicing athletics and stuff like that. And oh, he's the strong kid, and like, oh, blah blah blah. But yeah, so we were at this camp, and there was this other guy there. He was like, he was 1 year younger than me, and he was not jacked, but he was jacked considering like the age he had. He was like 13 or something like that. So he had like a little bit of muscle, like a really small amount. But they were just all grouping up on me for no reason whatsoever. There was no reason, but they just wanted to group up on me for like, I don't know, because they were like bored or something. So I was just like, what am I supposed to do? Because there's like 4 people grouping up on me. They didn't fight me or anything, but they were just like saying stupid stuff and how I'm like a disgrace and I shouldn't be in the Marine Cadets and stuff like that. And at that point, I just felt like absolute shit, because nobody would help me out, because there were so many of them, but like 4 or 5 of them. And then people were just trying to go to sleep, because we were in the beds at the time, and it was nighttime, and we were trying to go to sleep. And then they just came up to me and were like telling me all this stuff, like whilst I'm lying in my bed, and I'm like, what is going on? What is wrong with these people? So yeah, that happened, and I just felt like absolute shit after that. I quit the cadets. I just sat in my room. I was just playing video games for like a month or two, and then COVID came just after that. So the school shut down, and when the school shut down, yeah, I was at an all-time low. I didn't want to meet up with my friends or anything. Like the anxiety and stuff was coming back, even though at school I was like that kind of cool kid who was like, loads of girls were always getting to know, wanting to get to know me. Loads of girls were texting me, like I had a bunch of friends, you know. So I felt like at school, I felt like kind of like confident about it and like kind of happy that I had like some cool mates and stuff. But at the same time, I felt like inside, I felt like truly like I'm just like not a, I wasn't a bad person, but I just felt like I'm not like an excellent person. Like I'm not outstanding. Like I'm not an impressive person. Like you don't look at me and you're like, this guy is the fucking nuts, and this guy is gonna be someone in his life. Like a lot of people look at me now, right? So I was depressed and I felt like shit basically. I quit the cadets. I didn't tell them that I was gonna quit. I just all of a sudden I was like, fuck, I quit and I don't even want to go back there. So I didn't even go back there to like give in a uniform, I don't think. Or maybe I did, I can't remember. But yeah, in the end, yeah, I kept the uniform. And then my dad's girlfriend, she's from Belgium. Well, she's from Portugal actually, but she was living in Belgium because she you know lives there, right? And she has a son who's like 4 years older than me, 5 years older than me. Yeah. So we ended up. She came over to here to England to see me, to see my dad, obviously, and whatnot. And I ended up, you know, getting to know her and like her son, and he was pretty cool. So he was like my stepbrother, and like you know, we would talk a lot, and yeah, he wasn't really my type of person, you know, like he wasn't like a super physical kind of person, but he was still like chill. You know, I could ask him like a lot of stuff. Like he was kind of like he was like a big brother. He was almost like a real brother, basically. You know, like he's technically my stepbrother, but he was almost like a real brother. You know, because like he's like a good, you know, a social like friendly guy, basically. You know, but he's not like my type of person. But you know, we had like a good time basically the time that we spent together. So yeah, I went to Belgium, right? I went there in December before I quit the school and before I quit the cadets. I went there in December, right? 2019 December, right? I went there and I met him, I met some of his friends, we were like joking around. I had a couple drinks with him, I tried, you know, shots and vodka for the first time, and it was alright, it was pretty nice. But it didn't seem like it was my kind of, you know, style of doing things, you know. It didn't feel like it was my kind of, you know, group of people. But at the same time, you know, they were nice and I like hanging around with them, so it was cool. So I was just like, yeah, I'm getting to know some new people who like aren't actually just dickheads, basically, you know. And I didn't feel like when I was with him, I didn't feel like I had to be fake. I was just being myself, basically. So yeah, and he would just kind of accept me for that. So yeah, I mean, kinda, yeah. I mean, I said some like weird stuff, and he would like tell me about like how like there's some things I shouldn't say and like stuff like that because he was older and like more mature and whatnot. But yeah, but he also said some weird stuff as well. So it's just, you know, you give some, you lose some, and yeah, so I was living in Belgium for like 2 months, 1 month and a half, and this was when I started. Um, this wasn't when I started training. Wait, I was in this. It was in December 2019. I went there. I stayed there. I got to know him. Then I came back to England. Then I was still going to school. Then I was like, screw the school, right? It shut down because of COVID. Then I didn't go back there, and I didn't go back to the cadets. But then in May 2020, I went back to Belgium, and yeah, we met up again, and then we were chilling around. But this time, I didn't feel the same. I didn't really drink this time. Like maybe I had like 1 or 2 drinks, just trying something, not like getting drunk or anything. But I think I tried like a couple things that time, but not as much as I did the first time. And then I started training. Like I started watching videos online about how, you know, to get a six pack, how to get stronger and whatnot. And so I watched this Athlean X video, which I don't like Athlean X, by the way. Don't watch his stuff. That was just stupid. That was just mistake I made in the beginning. But at least it got me started. At least it got me started, which is the important thing about it. So I watched this video of this ab workout, quick ab workout. like 10-15 minute ab workout, and I would just do that every day. And I would just keep on doing that, and then after I'd go for a run down the street. So I'd do like a, I don't know, 1 kilometer run or 1 mile run or something like that, right? And then I'd come home and it was like nighttime, and then I'd just go to sleep. And I would just keep on doing that, and eventually I started adding more and more reps onto the training and stuff, and people were actually happy that I was training, right? They were just like, yeah, oh, William's training. Like my stepmom was like, oh yeah, he's training, nice. And then, yeah, because it was just a short little workout, and I had a little mat there that I would do the training on. Then I would go and do the run, go home, go to sleep, or go and play video games or whatever. And then after that, we went to move to Portugal. So we came to Portugal. I took the little mat I was using to just do my ab workout on, right? And we went there. I just carried on doing ab workout, and then eventually I started watching videos about, like a chest workout, triceps, doing triceps at home. So it was like push-ups. So I started doing push-up training, and then I was just adding more and more reps and just keep on going. But I was like doing it to an obsessed degree. Like I was just like, I can't ever miss any workout. I can't ever do anything else. I just have to focus on this one thing, right? Which was good to a degree because it built up the discipline that I didn't have originally. So it was good, because if I wasn't like that, and many people who aren't like that, they're just like, I'm just going to kind of chill and just do this. But then they quit like a week or a month later, So I built that discipline. Even though it's stupid stuff that I was doing, it still worked because I was new and I had all those newbie games, right, on the table for me to collect and work for. So I just kept on doing that basically, and I was living in Portugal. So, and then eventually, after doing that for a while, I was trying out different workouts, and then come around late July 2020, I started running more seriously. So I was doing this calisthenics bodyweight type of training and running at the same time. I was running like 2-3 times a week. And the place I lived is called Alqueve. It's in Portugal. It's in central Portugal near Coimbra, right? Near Coimbra, which is like one of the big cities in Portugal. And I live in Alqueve, which is like a village on a mountain. So I would do this running, and each time I'd go for a run, I'd try and run as far up on the mountain as I could, possibly without stopping. And eventually, it got to a point where I would run up and I just wouldn't have to stop. I just reached the top, and I was just like so happy with that. I felt so good about myself because that training was just so important to me. And for me to actually succeed, reach that milestone, that first big milestone that I did, was just extremely important. I wasn't obsessed with the bodybuilding stuff at that time, right? This was in late 2020, so in September, something around there, August, September, right? October. So yeah, then I was doing all those runs, and I was doing the calisthenics training on top of that. But I was only training like body weight like 3 times per week, right? So then comes around September and whatnot, and I started to go to the school here, right, on top of all that training that I was just telling you about. I started going to the school here. I met a bunch of new people. It was quite fun. I was meeting new girls, but I didn't have like a girlfriend yet or anything. So none of the girls that I was meeting worked out, which is kind of unfortunate, but yeah, I guess it happens. It seemed like they were interested in me, but yeah, I mean, it didn't work out. So and then there was this late December, I started to get to know this girl who was from my school in late December 2020. And yeah, it seemed like she was really interested in me. But then when I asked her out, when I finally managed to ask her out months later into like May, I think I remember the day, it was the 5th of May 2021. I eventually went to ask her out. My training up to this point was just basically the same. I was doing running, I was doing the ab workout, which I was getting to a point where I was like doing almost 1,000 reps, just doing like sit-ups without stopping. I was just doing like thousands of reps basically in the workout, which was like ridiculous, but I just didn't care. I was just like, I'm just doing it because, you know, mental toughness, like David Goggins, because that was one of my biggest inspirations at the time. And so I went to ask out this girl, and then she was like, she wasn't interested in whatsoever, and she said that she already has someone. And I was like, what, you have a boyfriend? And then she was like, no, but I already have someone. And then I was like, oh, okay. So then I was like annoyed about it, and I just stopped talking to her completely. But like, even though I never kissed her or anything, I was just like gutted about it, completely gutted. I was like, what the fuck is this bullshit? She is like, seems like she's so interested in me. Like when she looks at me, when she talks to me, you know, sometimes she would like put her hands on me like this and that, and like put her hands on my legs and stuff. And I was like, there's no way this girl doesn't want to date me, right? And it turns out she just didn't give a shit about me, basically. So yeah, after that, I was just like, fuck this shit, I don't care anymore. And I would just go crazy with my training. I ended up doing even more repetitions. I started doing more calisthenics workouts. I was still doing the running, but I was more focused on the calisthenics workouts and whatnot. And then I started getting better and better results. And then at the end of, well, in summer 2021, I was looking like way better. Like I went from 63 kilos to like 75, 76 kilos just before I turned 16, like at like 15 and like 10 months or something like that, years old. Yeah, I got to that, and I was looking way better. My training wasn't optimal, but yeah, I was training. So that showed in my body and whatnot, and I was just lean and ripped because I wasn't focusing on eating or anything or bulking. I was just trying to eat, but I wasn't eating chocolate, I wasn't drinking fizzy drinks, I was just cut everything out. I even like went as far as to go on like a no-fap streak. I went on like 113 days or something like that, no-fap streak, or 103 days, I can't remember what it was. And that was like crazy, like I don't want to do that again. Jesus Christ, pardon me. I just drank an energy drink before this because I'm literally about to work out after I finish filming this. And then I'll edit the rest of it, right? So, I was doing all that training, and by the end of summer 2021, I was looking so much better. And I started getting to know this other girl, right? Who actually ended up being my girlfriend, but not at the time because it didn't really work out. But she only became my girlfriend like 4 months later, like December 2021, right? So then between the time of August 2021 and December 2021, my training changed because me and my dad built a pull-up bar into the mountain. So there's a mountain here, right? And there's a pull-up bar that sticks out so I could do my training. You can see it in some of my videos because where I used to live in Alkev, up that house, I have that pull-up bar, right? And my training started to change because I got my weights. I got some weights from England as well. And I started doing like weighted push-ups and stuff like that. And then I started focusing more on the calisthenics, but bodybuilding style, and not just doing like super high reps and stuff like that. And then after that, I started seeing even more results. And then through 2022 to the end of to summer 2022, basically, through the start to the summer of 2022, I had gotten so much better. I was just about to turn 17. Jesus. I was just about to turn 17. I was looking way, way better. I was looking bigger. I was looking like my physique was looking more balanced and more aesthetic. I got to 82 kilograms, I think. 83 kilograms. At the max peak. I wasn't as lean at the time, but I was still pretty lean though. Like I'm leaner now and bigger, but I was still like only like maybe 1% fatter than I am now, or like maybe 1.5, I don't know. But yeah, I was looking like way better, and you can see the photos on my Instagram, or even on some of these videos that I have on here. I'm pretty sure you can see them as well, like on my transformation video. Yeah, so I was feeling way better, And how this mentally helped me was because at the time, let's go back like a year before then, so the summer of 2021, I was confident and I was happy with what I had, but I felt like I needed more, and I felt like I still felt insecure about myself. I felt like that I could just still be bullied by somebody and like I wouldn't do a lot. But by 2022, summer of 2022, like I wouldn't let anything slide. Like if somebody pissed me off, like that would be it for them basically. Like I'm not like letting anybody do anything to me basically. And that's what ended up happening, because some people would still try stuff with me, but I would just be serious with them, and then they'll just go away basically. So they wouldn't bother me anymore. So that was great. And I didn't have anxiety, I didn't have confidence issues, I didn't have any of that by the time of the summer of 2022, right? And I was dating this girl, and I started dating her in, December 2021. We had been dating for a while. And yeah, it was going all right. I had some pretty decent friends at the school, but it got to a point where the more results I saw in the gym, the better I got, the better my body looked, the more people would get jealous, and the more people would just stop liking me all of a sudden for no reason. Well, not any reason I can see of, at least. So people would just stop liking me, even though I'm improving as a person. I'm getting better in every single aspect, essentially. People aren't as interested in me. And it wasn't just because I wasn't investing as much time into them as I was before, because that's not true. I was investing time into other people, but people would just start ignoring me. Not everybody, but some friends that I was talking to, for example, they would just all of a sudden just ghost me for no reason. So, yeah, in the end of 2022, it was going all right. The training was going good. I was making gains. It was pretty good. Then comes 2023, which has just ended now. I started posting more on Instagram. I was doing more YouTube videos. I got my physique drastically improved. I went from, at the end of 2022, I was 85 kilograms. I went from 85 to now, at the end of 2023, 93 kilograms. So that's almost 10 kilogram difference. I got to 94 at the max, but my weight stabilized at around 93 in the morning, right? So that's almost 10 kilos difference. And it was basically all muscle, essentially. I've been feeling better this year, at least through the start of it. But then it got to a point where I didn't really like anybody at my school. I felt so excluded from everybody else because I had this obsessive training mentality, because it felt like, well, the main rewards that I've gotten from my life that make me feel gratified and make me feel happy with myself have all come from this training. And it seemed like whenever I would put effort into somebody else or into some group of people or something, it just wouldn't be worth it, or they would just cut me off, or I just wouldn't fit in. Because my school, the other thing is my school is a very small school. There's only about 200 students there, right? So that's really small. There's only a small group of people. There's nobody else like me in that school. So I didn't have a group to fit into. So I'd kind of just float around going with different people and whatnot. But it got to a point in 2023, like the start of 2023, I would just hang out with my girlfriend and her friend, and that would just be it. Like, I wouldn't really talk to anyone else. I wouldn't go and hang out with many other people. I would sometimes, but most of the time I wouldn't. And it got to a point where I was relying on my girlfriend, who's my ex-girlfriend now, I would rely on her to get all of my social needs and like all of my social satisfaction and everything, and affection obviously because of my girlfriend, from her only, basically. So when we broke up, I felt like as I broke up with her, I felt like, well, I will just go and I would just go and meet other people and stuff like that, and it will be fine. But I went to meet other people, and it still didn't feel right because I was just hanging out in the wrong groups because there weren't any other people there. So it felt like like I just had like a really big longing to be with that person again, because it felt like I got everything from that person, socially at least. I had my training obviously, which was extremely important, and I started missing that person even more. And it got to a point where we ended up getting back together eventually, like 3 months later or something like that. And it was going all right. But then she ended up breaking up with me, and then she wanted to get back together. So I was just like, I'm not with anyone else, that we'll just get back together. But like a secret kind of getting back together. And it just didn't go well. And it just left me thinking when I was training, when I was doing all of this stuff, I should have tried more to arrange more time to be with other people. I should have invested more time into trying to find people who are similar to me, but not like, I'm not going to find people similar to me where I live, but just people, just good people, because there's good people everywhere you go, right? And I should have just spent more time into investing, time and effort into those people, instead of just sticking with, my girlfriend, even though, like, what would happen if she leaves me, or if I leave her, or whatever, like who do I have then? I have my family, but at the same time, I just felt like deeply alone inside myself. Even though I had all the training and I had this amazing body and everything, I was looking like, well, I'm looking like a Greek god and everything. And I was just thinking like, damn, this isn't everything in my life. I don't realize how much I miss someone and how much I've lost by not having that person until that person is gone in my life. So it just made a huge difference. And it's made me mature so much faster. Thinking about how, going to the club, going out with people, doing all of these things, that is important to a degree, but you shouldn't obsessively do it. You shouldn't just like training obsessively. Like, it's better to train obsessively than to go out to the club obsessively, of course. But at the same time, training obsessively, if it limits you, if you're getting to a point where you're limiting your social interactions just because I have to go to a gym, you're using the gym as an excuse, which I didn't really get to that point. Sometimes it was like that, but it was never too much like that. It was mainly because I didn't find somebody who I really enjoyed being with, right? Other than, my girlfriend, like, I didn't have like a group of friends that were like, let's go gym, man, let's go gym, bro. Like, let's go out training, let's go like on an adventure. Like sometimes I would go to the gym with some people, but they would just quit and they would just say that they would show up and they never show up. They're not really friends, if you know what I mean. I didn't have any huge, any group of, or any small group of people that were just like my true friends, And that's a huge part of that is because I've been moving everywhere I go. So, I've been to different parts of England, I've been moving schools and everything, so I don't have this true childhood friends, right? And like I was saying, if it gets to the point where the gym is limiting your social interactions, is limiting who you're spending your time with, and if it gets to a point where you're not spending time with your girlfriend because you have to go to a gym and you have to train, even though you can't see her very often, then I don't think it's a net positive on your life, basically, doing the training that obsessively, So it got to a point where it was kind of like that, but I just I had this aspect of my life like this, with the gym and everything, training, body, health, fitness, knowledge, passion, self-worth, self-confidence, self-happiness, gratification in myself, basically stuff to do with myself and how I feel about myself internally in that aspect was all really good, like extremely good. Many adults will die without even reaching that. They will die just thinking like, coping with how they haven't even done anything in their life, basically. Because a lot of them won't tell themselves that. They're like, shit, I'm nobody and I haven't done anything impressive in my life. But that's how a lot of people die. So I'm extremely grateful that I've gone down that path and been able to do this, and I'm still continuing to do this. But there is another aspect, which is, meeting people, like-minded people, especially because that's important to have close friends, because if you have like-minded people, then you can enjoy being with them more and you can be yourself more as well, because you can talk about the things that you like and not just be like, oh, I'm talking about training or I'm talking about this and that, and they're just like, I don't want to like really hear that much about your training, or like they don't know anything about it, so they just don't care. You know, that's why it's good to have like-minded people around you, right? And people who support you and whatnot. So that's extremely important. But it's also important to just put yourself in those situations, like maybe going to a club once in a while, or going out somewhere, you know, just to try and meet people, just maximize your chances of meeting new people, because that's important too. You shouldn't just be restricting, you know, your social life just because the gym is so important, because it gets to a point where if you look at it from a balanced perspective, and if you really truly want to be happy with your life, it gets to a point where the gym somewhat loses its priority in comparison with the other things, you know? Like, I really enjoy going to gym. I'm always going to go to gym. I'm always going to train until the day I die, right? But I don't want to be having that mentality, or anybody else to be having that mentality at least, where it's if the gym is everything and I can't miss one day, I have to go to the gym, I can't spend time with my girlfriend because I'm at the gym, I can't go out with my friends because I have to go to the gym, I can't eat or try new foods or even drink like a sip of alcohol just to try the flavor because it's like unhealthy. Like, those are your choices. Like, obviously that doesn't matter if you don't want to drink alcohol or just try anything. Like, I don't drink alcohol. I only like take a sip just to try, like, see what it tastes like, right? But that's like rarely. That's like once every like couple months. But you know, you get what I'm saying, and that's not healthy. Just having like that unbalanced mindset isn't healthy. And many people will say, well, look at all these champions. Look at the best people in the world who have been training. Look at Chris Bumstead. Look at all of these guys who have done all this training stuff, and they're super successful. They have that obsession with it, but they're professional athletes. And like, what percentage of the people who are watching this, or just in general in life, are going to be a professional athlete? Most people want to have a balance. And yeah, I would love to be a professional athlete. I would love to make a living, which is what I'm trying to do, off of my fitness career. But even me, who is, you know, an obsessed kind of person with this kind of stuff, I don't think it's worth, we only have a finite time on this planet, and I don't think it's worth spending all of my time and energy into this one aspect when I know in the future I'm going to have some regret, a lot of regret, because I didn't spend more time with you know, in these situations where I can get to know people, you know, have like a bit of fun and just like try and get to know new people, be around people, upgrade, you know, my social level and whatnot and stuff like that. So it really is important to just be social and not don't let the gym take over your life, basically. So yeah, I'm grateful that I've made all the choices I've made, because I didn't make any terrible choices ever since I started training. Like, there's never been any choice where it's been like, shit, I really made like a terrible choice. Like, there's been times where I've been like, crap, like that was the wrong thing to do, but it had reasons why I did it and why I shouldn't have done it. But at the same time, there's slightly more reasons for me not to do it than to do it, but at the same time it makes sense that I did it, if you know what I'm saying. Like, I don't feel like I've made any truly terrible choices since I started training, which is great, because I'm not into drugs, I'm not into smoking, I'm not into drinking, I'm not into any of that. I'm completely natural, and this path that I chose has really helped me build and strengthen my character, and I'm really grateful for that. And I feel like everything I've done to get to a point where I am has really just changed how I see the world and view everything around me, essentially. And I feel like I have a better, deeper purpose in my life, and I feel like I have objectives. And I'm only 18, so I know what I want to do with my life at this age. But many people at this age, they don't know what they want to do. Like, that's like the opposite end of the spectrum, you know, where people just fuck around and they don't do anything, and then they're in their late 20s or early 30s and they're just trying to sort out their life after that, which is just stupid, right? But at the same time, on the other end of the spectrum, there's these people that are so obsessed with becoming the best ever and becoming a champion, and most of those people don't even make it. Like, it's great that they try, but I can be a champion, I can be amazing, I can be this, I can have an amazing body, and I can also go out and, you know, be with other people and not just be trapped in the gym, like just like you can. So, or trapped in that mentality of like, oh, I need to train, I need to do this, I need to do that, whether it's training or whether it's whatever, you know. Don't let your passion just consume your life. That is like a dangerous thing, because following your passion is a great thing, but it gets to a point where it can be a bad thing, you know, just like everything can be poisonous. Drinking too much water could kill you, but it doesn't mean that drinking water is bad, you know, or drinking a lot of water. Drinking a lot of water is good. So yeah, that's what I'm basically going to end the video on. So I'm going to get to my training now, because, you know, I've been waiting ages to do this, and I'm getting a bit nervous. I need my high from my training. So yeah, I hope this video helped you guys out and maybe makes you reflect on some things. Maybe you guys relate to it, maybe you guys don't. But anyways, I hope it possibly helps you out in the future. So yeah, if you have any questions about anything, or you might be a bit confused about something I've said, well, just ask me in the comments and I'll reply to you. So if you stuck through the video, that is actually really great. Like, thanks for that. And yeah, I hope this video like was informative and helped you guys out. So sorry for the bad quality of the video, but there isn't a lot of light in my house right now, so it's nighttime, and I just wanted to get this out just to know that it's done. So yeah, I hope this helped you guys out, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.